This is a quote from an Ohio farmer. "I'm in my mid-60s. I can't afford to quit, but I've got no children farming with me to explain the new technology and farm equipment. I need to get new machinery, but I'm scared of it. It's over my head. I still use a flip phone, but if I don't upgrade, I'm in trouble. I just don't know what to do." My heart went out to him. In 2018, I wrote a book entitled The Breakup of International Harvester. I interviewed farmers and ranchers all over the U.S. and Canada. Similar comments were often heard, and I was surprised how many still use flip phones. During the winter of 2019-2020, before the pandemic started, I spoke at several ag events and heard this same concern from members of the audience. I'm writing this for those of you that want to better understand the value of the new technology in farm machinery. If you're now actively using it, you already know what I'm going to say. Let me start by discussing technology that's been around a while. A smartphone is really a pocket computer that also happens to be a phone. Think back 30 years when you had limited access to weather forecasts. You wondered if you should cut hay or wait a day. If a smartphone had been available, instant access to weather forecasts would have helped you decide. That's really what the new ag technology provides. Instant availability of information to help you make decisions. Recently, a journalist said, automation and applied sciences that have become part of farm equipment since 1994 outpaced progress in the NASA space program over that same period. It's no surprise that producers and landlords struggle to understand the changes. I'm doing this to help you better understand the value of the new ag technology. Think of it this way. It's just a larger and much more advanced cell phone. Lori Bedord is executive editor, Ag Technology for Successful Farming magazine. She researched and produced a tech issue in 2019 entitled The 4 Waves of Innovation, The Dawn of Digital Ag. She did a remarkable job of describing possibly the 4 most important changes in agricultural innovation since 1831. I have her permission to use that work, and I'll start with the 4 waves, interspersed with my own comments. The first one, mechanization. It began with the McCormick reaper in 1831. Hand labor was being replaced by a machine for the first time. Cyrus McCormick's patent for the reaper was issued in 1834, but none were sold until 1842, when he sold 7. After his Chicago factory was completed in 1856, sales finally mushroomed up to 4,000 units annually. 22 years had passed since the patent was issued. Acceptance of the reaper was gradual, it was not rapid. Second innovation, ag chemistry. World War II required huge quantities of ammonia for bombs. After the war, those factories began producing ammonia for fertilizer. On-farm application of anhydrous ammonia did not progress overnight. Development of applicators had to come first, and second, it could be dangerous if handled improperly, so experienced operators had to be trained. During this same period, DDT and 2,4-D came into the picture. Over 20 years passed before widespread use existed. They became common practice by the 60s. Third innovation, precision farming. Global positioning systems, which we call GPS, brought high-tech to the farm in 1994. This is also when smartphones, pocket computers, came into popular use. Since then, precision technology has exploded into machine guidance, variable rate monitors, applicators, yield monitoring, and much more. Fourth, digital agriculture. This concept evolved in 2015. By definition, it combines large data sources with advanced crop and environmental models to provide information to program machine performance. For those of us that grew up prior to video games and smartphones, the third and fourth waves are the ones we find challenging to implement. I strongly sympathize with farm operators that are struggling with the new concepts. My good friend Orion Samuelson feels that farmers and ranchers older than age 60 are, on average, the age group that is struggling the most with precision farming and digital ag. Mike Lessiter, editor and publisher of Lessiter Media, agrees with that age divide as an average. A self-help book titled The Power of Positive Thinking came out in 1952. It suggested ways to deal with a fast-changing world. It seems like that approach would work here. I've had a cell phone for about 15 years. It still frustrates me with endless changes and updates, yet I am positive that I would not be without it. So let's concentrate on precision farming and digital ag, the third and fourth innovations. If you consider the positive benefits of the new ag technology, learning how to use it will be less intimidating. When you see the profit that comes from the improved practices, you won't hate it so much. You might even start to think positively about it. Think back to the third wave, precision farming. First year sales of yield monitors was only 10 units. A few years later, annual sales reached 1,500. The use of vital new information was increasing rapidly. By 2015, guidance systems were used in almost half of planted acres of corn, rice, and peanuts. Granted, the users were mostly the younger and middle-aged generation of farmers. Fewer older producers had converted to the new systems. It was primarily the older age group that fell even farther behind when digital ag, the fourth wave, came into practice. Let me repeat the definition of digital agriculture. It combines large data sources with advanced crop and environmental models to provide the information for on-farm decisions. Since 2015, technology has virtually reinvented machinery design through software innovation. See what happens when we combine the developments from that third wave of innovation in 1994 with the incredible software of the fourth wave called digital ag. The earlier GPS information, which included crop mapping, yield monitoring, and so much more, was the start of design changes in machinery. The tractor already equipped with the third wave is now being equipped with fourth wave digital data sources so the operator can control all responses of the equipment. The operator can sit in the cab and monitor all the inputs, or they can be somewhere else and monitor the machine with no one on board from their smartphone or their iPad. The word autonomous describes a machine without a driver. Let me give you an example of this from Mike Wilson's Farm Futures article, Tomorrow's Farmer. Quote, just before you retire for the evening, you head to the office and fire up your laptop. You push a series of buttons that activates an autonomous set of vehicles in field number 47, a half-mile down the road. A cabless harvester wakes up and starts chewing through a field of corn. As it moves, it talks to a self-propelled grain cart, which begins transferring loads of grain back and forth between the combine and a nearby semi-truck. No lights are needed because there's no humans there. Incredible? Yes. 5 years down the road? No, in use right now. But change on the farm is not just in technology. 2 years ago, when I wrote my book about IH, one producer I interviewed said grain carts would not ever get bigger than 2,000 bushel capacity. Yet, I have an article here looking at an ad by Mitherbin offering a 4,000 bushel grain cart. Remember, it took 2 decades for the reaper to reach widespread acceptance. The same was true with anhydrous ammonia and the cell phone. Precision farming and digital agriculture have not been any different, but just more challenging to implement. But the benefits are enormous. Remember the quote I started with from the Ohio farmer still worried about the technology? Here's an alternative opinion I've just found in a magazine. It's from an older Delaware farmer talking about the Case IH Harvest Command feature on his combine. I've been setting combines for 41 years, he said, and this system can set them better than I can in one pass across the field. I was very skeptical of the technology because I'm an old guy. Now, I wouldn't be without it. Innovation in agriculture, as much as in space programs, maybe more. Thanks for joining me.